8 tips on how to set good expectations during the sales process coming up. Tip number 1 is to make the expectations clear to yourself. If you're not even sure what the expectations are, it's going to be hard to communicate that to the customer. Tip number 2 is to know where to set expectations the most. Some ideas here to determine what those things might be would be to ask your teammates, maybe people managing projects that you've sold, things like that. Find out where concerns arise. Check online reviews. What's something you're commonly seeing there? And then just learn from past experiences where you may have had some hiccups in the past. Write those things down so you understand what those expectations are and can start thinking about when to set them during the sales process. Tip 3 is to understand the value in setting good expectations. Why do it, right? Ultimately, it builds trust. When you're setting expectations, it builds trust, and trust is a key component of making sales. So it's going to benefit you to do this and set expectations in the right points in the process during the sales process. So that's key. But also, it's really about a better customer experience, because if you deliver a better customer experience, you're going to have less bad reviews, less refunds, less client complaints, just better all satisfaction drives more positive reviews and more repeat customers and more referrals. So by setting the right expectations, it ensures that you're going to have a better process and you're going to identify potential issues before you ever even get too far down the road. Tip number 4 is to set expectations in person or over the phone. Verbally set expectations. Don't just send a bullet list in an email. Don't send this in written form. We have a saying that goes, never email a touchy topic. You always want to talk about a touchy topic. It allows you to adapt, right? To have some personality there and to really respond immediately to questions and concerns or misunderstandings. So make sure that you write down the expectations that you need to set, and then make sure you set those during the sales process verbally first before you send it through written form. Tip number 5 is to get the customer's buy-in. And to do that, you need to verbally communicate the expectations to them, which we talked about. But ask them things like, do you understand why we do it that way? Do you agree doing it that way makes sense? When you ask things like this, it allows them to get their buy-in to say, yes, I understand that, I see why you do that, and it gets their buy-in. And if they do have an issue or a question, it allows you to clarify. So make sure you work hard to get their buy-in. Don't just set an expectation, get them to agree with you. That's really the best way to do it. Tip number 6 is to put the expectations in writing in an email recap after you talk about it. Make sure that you put the things that you talked about in writing so they can see it. Power tip here, CC all relevant parties, not just the person you talk to. If there's other people that are a part of the decision-making process on their end, make sure that everybody's on there. The person that you physically talk to about the expectations can do the heavy lifting of communicating that to the rest of their team, but at least this way you know that everybody's gotten eyeballs on these expectations that you've set. Tip number 7 is to get final agreement and buy-in in writing as well, not just verbally. So whether that's them responding back to the email that you sent, the email recap, and confirming that they're good to go there, or if you have an agreement or a contract that you send to get them to sign off, make sure that there's a signed agreement to the expectations that you set, because if something goes awry down the road, you want to be able to look back and say, hey, we talked about it, you agreed on it, and you in fact signed that you understood it. And that's something that you'll need here and there, so it's going to be powerful to have it. Tip 8, last tip, make sure that you communicate the conversations that you had with regards to expectation setting to the rest of your team. Make sure that you say, hey, we talked about these things, this is what their concerns were, here's how I addressed that, just so they're on the same page. What you want to have is a clean handoff. So when you make the sale as a salesperson, you cleanly hand it off to your team with the proper expectations set, and you give those people the information that they need to have to ultimately drive outstanding customer experiences and high customer satisfaction, so that you can follow up later and possibly get a referral and a positive review. So thanks for watching. Hopefully this video was helpful and gave you some ideas on how you can set better expectations during your sales process. If you have other tips that I missed here, please leave them in the comments. If you like the video, like it, share it with your friends, and do think about subscribing to follow us for more content like this in the future. Thanks for watching.